entertainment.
It's basically like a talk show at this point.
Basically, it's a talk show. So welcome back. Let us know that you're here and you're watching with us or you're watching the replay. We thank you for the love. Thank you for following and thank you for subscribing. Subscribing because we've been doing a fearless birth series, right?
Yeah, I guess this is kind of like the mini series.
It's like a
type
mini
thing.
series. Well, it's now like a regular talk show because we like talking with each other and we like talking with you, and y'all keep coming back and asking such great questions. And then afterward, we get more questions in the comments. So keep those coming and thank you for that. We have been gearing up for something really big, and it's our Fearless Birth Delivered childbirth class, which is tomorrow, is the first day of our August class.
Yay!
So
excited.
I am so excited. Oh, it's Rachel. So when you guys comment, we can like highlight your questions. So keep them coming. But today it is all about not making this mistake when you prepare for childbirth, not making this one huge forgotten, like totally glossed over mistake when people are getting ready for a baby. Don't you agree, Sarah?
Oh my gosh, 100%. I think a lot of us really spend a whole lot of time thinking about this big day, the birthday, right? Baby's birthday.
Right.
And we forget that like once we have the baby, there's like, now what? You're gonna go home, or if you're already home, your birth team's gonna leave and you are going to have a baby, and you now have to figure out how to live with this baby.
Keep this baby alive.
It's like, when I left the hospital with my first son, I remember them saying, okay, well, you can go home now. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I don't know how to do this. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how to take care of a baby. How do I strap this into a car seat? Like, what? What am I doing?
What if it cries?
What am I supposed to do? Who am I going to ask if I don't know if I'm doing breastfeeding right? Or
right.
Right. Like, there's so many different questions. Oh my gosh. So
yeah. Well, that's the funny thing is like it's not that funny. It's a big topic this week. There are a few other educators talking about it because it is so forgotten and so glossed over because we were all blindsided. Is that how like the phrase that you would use?
Yeah, I think, and really like so I had this fear leaving the hospital, of course, because I didn't really know what to expect. But then once I got home, I think it was even harder to transition because it was so incredibly different than anything I could have ever imagined. And the way that like society paints it, and the way that like we hear people talk like, oh, once baby's here, like you'll know exactly what to do.
Oh my gosh, what does that mean?
I don't ask me, because it's not like it's so far from, I mean, sometimes, yes, instinctually we do kind of like, we know, okay, a baby's crying, we want to soothe the baby, right? That's but that's about the extent of like really knowing, I feel like.
Right. Like I'm just looking at all these friends popping in.
Ooh, Italy.
I know. We talk about being blind, or parents, or sometimes when they start getting into like the nitty gritty and they're like, when I got home, I was blindsided by ... We can plan for this. We can plan for being a parent and not having to be blindsided. I think my first tip, so I have 3 tips that I wish I had known, and Sarah and I have chatted a little bit, and they're very universal, I think. And my biggest memory after having my first baby, and not everyone's the same as me, and it may not apply, but I would love to hear what yours are so that pregnant people who are binging on the birth nurse videos on YouTube go to the comments and like prepare and not be blindsided. We know that parenthood is coming. We know that this new transition is coming. It does not have to be a surprise. It does not have to be as lonely as it has felt for a lot of us.
Right.
The feeling, this like hit me like a wall that I had, like, I couldn't climb over. I didn't want to climb over. I was really resistant to this new role. And I knew, like, oh, I want to be a parent. But like, I just felt my old life like draining away from me. Like who I was, what I used to do, what I used to find like fun and exciting, I suddenly couldn't do with a latched brand new baby. And I was
Right.
terrible at this new job. I hated to be terrible at it. And I didn't know how to get better at it. And I felt like I was doing everything wrong.
Yeah, I think that that's really like, and that's a common feeling too, because we can work really hard during postpartum thinking, or during pregnancy thinking, I can't wait to be a parent. We really don't know what that means until
Right.
like you're in the thick of it. And while we can prepare, there still is something to be said about like you don't know until you're in the thick of it. Like you don't really know what it's like to have like another human, like a human that literally depends on you to exist or like survive. And it's like it takes where you've spent your whole life, where all you have to deal with or worry about is yourself, and now you have to put this new thing that you just, and I say thing, I mean like your new baby, but I'm like trying to word it in a way that's like making it stick, the idea stick. But like you have to worry about this new baby where you only had to worry about yourself, and now this new baby is who's controlling things. So
Yeah.
you're like, what do you mean I can't take a nap when I'm tired? What do you mean I can't just eat whenever I want to? I can't just go use the bathroom because I have to use the bathroom. Or
Right. They
like
control you.
it's yeah.
You wake up when they wake up. You eat when they don't need all these other things. Like, you are last.
hmm
Ugh,
And
it
so, and when we say last two, that's not like we're not trying to normalize the lack of like self care, or we don't want, the last thing I
others
want is for
caring
people
for
to
you.
like, I'm sorry.
Others caring for you. It's not
Yeah,
even
exactly.
about, like, "Take care of yourself better."
Yeah, no, like it
Oh.
really does. And I think this kind of rolls into the first thing that you were talking about too. So I'll let you take it.
The new role as a parent or my next one?
Doesn't it roll into your next one?
So, my next one is tips that I wish I knew before I had a baby that no one told me, was how difficult it was, I guess, to take care of myself, but, like, to do my normal stuff postpartum. Like, specifically, I peed on myself a lot. And don't stop the video right now because that cannot be the last thing that you hear. I'm not talking about pelvic floor dysfunction. I'm not
Right.
talking about the inability to hold my pee. I'm talking about just, like, the fatigue that my pelvic floor had and, like, the urgency. I think it's 2 parts. I was hydrating to, like, try to feel better because I felt like I got hit by a bus after a long labor, and
Yeah.
also I was wanting to make milk, and also I was hella thirsty because my kid was, like, latched all the time, and then suddenly I would like, feel like, "Oh my gosh, I should pee," and then be like, "Oh my gosh, if I don't run fast enough," and I, like, couldn't even get my hospital underwear down fast enough, and I would pee right there, right in the bathroom floor,
Right.
and
And not even,
I
yeah.
couldn't take care of myself.
Yeah. And so not only that, but not, so you have to use the bathroom because of course, I mean, you're a human. You have to use the bathroom. But now not only do you have to use the bathroom, but you have to figure out what to do with your baby.
Right,
Do you take your baby with you? Do you put
right,
your baby in a bouncer? Well, that takes a minute too. Like,
and they're
and
gonna hate it.
right, and they're gonna cry, and that's gonna give you anxiety, and that's like, it's like a whole thing where you're like, it's a whole entire like dance to even just go use the bathroom, or
Or
to like brush your teeth, or like get
it is,
dressed.
and, like, just popping up and running to the bathroom, I remember in the middle of the night thinking about all of the people who've had a cesarean because I was like, how do they pop out of bed? I was having to roll out of bed. My abs were not strong. My muscles were not connected and not working like I had remembered. I was not the person that I was before I was pregnant. I didn't
Right.
feel like that body anymore, and it didn't do what I asked it to do as quickly.
Yeah,
Super surprised about that.
so, yeah, I think that that kind of goes into, like, a way that we can prepare for this is, like, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, we don't have to be rushing, trying to figure out what to do with our baby while we're trying to rush to the bathroom. We're, like, trying to figure out what we're gonna do with our baby because we want to, like, brush our teeth for the first time in, like, over 24 hours or whatever. And so, like, and yeah, we laugh, but, like, it's real life. Like, this is
For
real
how
life.
many hours? Like, who the hell
Yeah,
knows?
yeah, because and sometimes we just forget. Like,
Right.
I have so many other things on my plate right now. I'm like, oh
What
my
day is
gosh,
it?
it's Wednesday. Oh my gosh, wait, did I shower this week?
Yeah, is my toothbrush out of my hospital bag?
Right. And so, and the thing is, like, it doesn't have to be that way. So if we know that postpartum has these, that we have these struggles postpartum, what we can do is a lot, like, set ourselves up with support, make sure that we have a game plan, make sure that we have clear expectations with our partner or with whoever's going to be our support person through the postpartum period. Make sure that those expectations are clear and they're set in stone. Also make sure that they're flexible because, like I said earlier, even though we plan for postpartum, we plan to, like, we plan to be tired or to need help with XYZ. Sometimes it can look a lot different once we're in it. And so making sure that we have those expectations are set, but we also have some flexibility so that we know that things can kind of change in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, you just don't know absolutely what you're gonna need. Um, and my other third thing that I wish I would have known, I could have told myself as young pre-parent Mandy, is, like, stop being so proud and ask people for help
Yeah.
early and often, and, like,
And
specific help. What kinda help?
don't feel like because you're asking for help that makes you less of a parent. So, like you said, pride. And don't feel like asking for help is going to make you feel like a burden, or it's going to make you a burden on someone, is going to be a burden
Oh,
on
I
somebody else.
always feel like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's really ingrained in us from a very young age, especially as anybody who identifies as a female or grew up identifying as a female.
Mhm.
Those gender roles are really, really ingrained in us, and so we're really told, like, don't rock the boat, be polite, this type of thing. And so it makes it hard sometimes when we need help and we're like, I can't, like, I've barely gotten my head over water, like, can somebody please throw me a life raft? Like, sometimes it's hard to even
Yeah.
ask for that because you're like, I can just keep treading, I can just keep treading, and it's like reality, you're like getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
You're deep,
So
right, and
yeah.
you don't know until you're like, "I can't get out of bed. I don't like my life." I get, like, deep into this hole that you can't find a way out of.
Yeah,
Are you reading
it's
the comment?
yeah. um
This one.
If families had multiple wives, being taken care of postpartum might be a problem because you'd always have extra guests. And that is, there are relationships where there are
Yep.
multiple parents within the household, and that's great. Sometimes that works for people, and sometimes that relationship dynamic doesn't work for people. And even having, if it isn't just like another wife, having like a friend, having a grandparent, having a neighbor, anything like extra hands are always great. um it doesn't matter, it really doesn't matter who it is. Having your support system put in place is great.
Yeah, and not just, like, people coming over to visit the baby,
Right.
unless that's helpful for you and you want them to hold the baby, but then you shower, you do some things for yourself, you go take a nap, but that's not what we normally do. We're like, "Yeah, come over," and then it's exhausting to, like,
Yeah.
entertain or be up, or the baby's asleep the whole time because 'cause they're being held by strangers, and that means you're not sleeping or you're not getting things done that you would normally do when the baby sleeps.
Right. Well, also, as a postpartum doula, what I do know is a lot of times my clients don't want me to come over and hold the baby.
Mm-mm.
They want to hold their baby.
Mhm.
They want to just lay there, hold their baby, love on their baby, rest with their baby. What they want, and even what I wanted was somebody to come over and do the stuff that I don't want to do. Do
Right.
my dishes, help me with laundry, like prep a meal, um, go get my refill of ibuprofen because my vagina hurts. Like
Right.
those type of things where I'm like, anything that facilitates me bonding with my baby and not having to have like these extra stressors on me
Yeah.
was a huge help.
Make
And
my
then of course if
food.
I'm like, yeah. And then of course if I'm like, if I need to use the bathroom, I can just be like, hey, can you watch the baby for a second while I go?
Right.
Or hey, can you hang out? Or even as a postpartum doula, I'll say, hey, is there anything that you want to get done today? And if they say no, like I just want to be with my baby, I'll be like, cool, I'll do XYZ.
Right.
Or what
Normal
is
stuff
most
that
comfort for you?
always needs to be done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
Oh,
uh-huh.
man, so good. And I just was talking to a friend. I did like private spinning babies parent class for her, and we were talking about her second baby, and he screamed all the time and he was awake all the time and he was always nursing. And it was her second baby, so she was kind of like getting into the swing. So I brought bagels and secret true fact about me, I don't like holding babies at all. Some people thought that's what I did as a labor nurse. They're like, "Oh, you get to hold babies all the time." I was like, "No, I monitor fetuses, and if I meet all of the goals of everyone in the room, I never touch their baby actually at all." They're like, "Ugh, what a harsh answer to that." I'm like, "No, I don't like holding other people's babies, especially when they're like 5 minutes old."
Oh my gosh, I
So,
love it.
no, I don't. I didn't that newborn stage is like a lot of anxiety for me. So I
Yeah.
go over, I bring bagels and I like make them and toast them and spread them and put the extra in the freezer and like get their kids some snacks. And her mom's watching her other toddler and we sit down and she was like, "Oh, can you hold him?" And I was like, "Sure." So I'm
Yes.
holding him and she's eating and I'm happy to do what helps her eat. And then he's so content and like sweaty on me and just sleeping. She's like, "Give him back." I Can I have him back? I was like, "Yeah, he's your baby." She's like, "He's never this quiet, and I never get to snuggle him, and I always feel like I have to do something."
Oh, yeah.
How honest is that? Like, I just wanna talk to you and not feel like we're disconnected. I wanna hold my baby, but it's nice to not have to be doing something for him or doing something for my toddler or doing something for myself.
Yes.
So just
Exactly.
having those friends that you know are not gonna care if you're like, "Hey, can you let yourself in? Also, I don't have a bra, so don't feel like you have to wear one, and you might have to pick up some toys on your way in to be able to find me." Those
Yeah.
friends you have over and you're like, "Hold my kid, I have to pee really fast," and, like,
Yeah.
they're gonna get, like, an inside glimpse of what it's like, but they're gonna be okay with that. They can handle
Right. And also, so like having those people who will come over and literally just sit and help you not feel so isolated, because isolation in postpartum period is so, so hard.
Yeah, 'cause you
It's
can't.
easy to feel like you're the only one going through this.
Yeah.
You're exhausted because you've just done the equivalent of running a full marathon on top of so you're covering for that. Have literally sometimes in certain situations you're feeding somebody from your body, which takes a lot.
Mhm.
You're probably touched out at this point because you have some new little human on you all the time, and
Mhm.
you're not sleeping very well. So it's like all of these things, along with like being by yourself and like stuck in the house because you feel like you can't really leave because you're recovering and you have a new baby, and you're always like don't have a bra on, like you said, and you're like I can't leave the house. So
Mhm.
being connected and just having somebody sit next to you and just be like, how are you? Like,
Mhm.
tell me your birth story. Tell me what happened. How was your night? Um,
Mm. And you can
those
just, like,
types of things.
bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
Exactly.
doesn't mean you don't love your baby, it doesn't mean you don't love your partner, it doesn't mean you're not gonna be back,
Yeah.
but,
And
like,
that's like
it's weird.
sometimes my postpartum shifts are legit like I'll go over to somebody's house. I'll go over to my client's house. I'll sit down on the couch and be like, "Is there anything that you want to, that you want to get taken care of today?" Um, and sometimes they'll be like, "No, I just like I need a little bit of help with. I would like for you to look at like latch or whatever and see how we're doing." But then after that, I just kind of sit for a second, and it's like a bleh. They just like their whole birth story and everything. And I just sit and I will spend my whole shift just listening to their birth story, and it helps them kind of go through and process what had happened. And a lot of times I'm the first person to ask, or the first person to like allow them to actually talk about it openly and like have interest in that story. So even sometimes sitting there,
Oh, I
having
love
somebody to
that.
sit there and be like, can I just like tell you about my birth, because I loved it and it went so well,
Oh,
and I just want to like tell you because I have so
yeah.
many feelings about it, and I just kind of want to relive it. Like, can we talk about it? And I'm
Oh
like,
my
please do.
god. Yes.
So like that, I love those types of visits, and that would have been incredibly helpful for me postpartum too. Yeah.
I mean, you tell that friend or you tell your sister, but like by the third time, you're kind of like, sorry, I called you again to tell you again. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, like, and honestly, so there was a question like on, yeah, I think this is
Is
the
this
comment.
one?
Would you hire a postpartum doula? That's what I was going to say is sometimes hiring somebody who is like really into birthy stuff is like really fun
Yeah.
after birth, because you have like somebody there who's actually really, really interested in what you have to say, instead of like, because I can tell one of my friends all about my birth story, and they'll be like, oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you had, and it's like, yeah, but you're
Mm.
not as excited about it as I am. Like,
That's such a
I
good
worked
point.
really hard.
Yeah, that's such a good point. That's such a good point to make. Like someone who really knows, like, wow, look at your accomplishment, or wow, I'm so glad you feel so great, or just like making that a deeper memory, that lasting, like, I want to hold this feeling. Like, I don't want to forget. I have to keep telling it so that I can remember and
Exactly.
remember and I want to tell my baby and I want to tell, all the people because
Yeah.
like we hear bad stories, we hear scary stories.
hmm
So Rachel says, how do you ask for the right kind of help? We have a few minutes for a couple questions and I want to highlight
hmm
some. How do you ask for the right kind of help? Or when someone says they will help and their idea is help to hold the baby while you entertain. Makes me so mad.
Yeah. So I
Thanks,
think
Rachel.
there are. So do you mind if I take this one, Mandy?
Get it.
So there's like really cool templates that have
I have one.
that like, yeah, I think there's one. So yeah, if you have one, I don't know, I don't have one that I share, but there's templates where you can like make a list of things, like if you want to visit, you can like, these are the things that I would like to have done or whatever, and basically like have it as like a tax. So be like, your fee to visit and like hold the baby or whatever is you have to do one task. And for some people that really works. Other people don't feel right doing that, and that's okay too. We never want you to go out of your comfort zone, but we also don't want you to stay so far in your comfort zone that you're by yourself and trying to like not rock the boat. So finding that good like in between line, what you're comfortable with asking, how you're comfortable with asking,
Mhm.
figuring out what your communication is, um, what your communication style is. So maybe that's saying like, I would love for you to hold the baby, but what would really be helpful is
Mhm.
dot dot dot,
Mhm.
making
But
sure that you're
if the
communicating
baby's
effectively.
sleeping or if the baby's awake,
Right,
this is what I would, or you have your partner ask for you.
right. Or have those conversations prenatally.
That's what my postpartum game plan is now in the comments
Yeah.
because I love that. It's one of my favorite activities in childbirth education classes is like, y'all need to be talking about this. You need to come up with, like, does your partner thrive in like very clear, direct communication? I like that. My partner likes that. He likes like, just tell me what you need instead of like having to figure it out.
I am the worst. So I I think it's like my personality style. I like to do I'll tell you what the problem is and expect
Yeah,
for you to like come up with a solution.
me too.
It's
Totally.
so bad. It's
Totally.
so
I do
horrible.
it
Like,
to you. I do it in like work too. I'm like, oh man, I don't know how to do this. And then someone's
but
like,
that's
you want to take that off your plate? I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I should have just said
yeah.
that.
I should have just said that. I should have just asked what I would actually meant. So yeah, and like I'm the worst with that. So making sure that you practice, and you can practice this too. So if you think that this is something that you're gonna run into, you could always be like, I think that I'm going to have really hard time asking people for help. So start prenatally, start early, and start asking for little things while you're pregnant.
Right.
This way you get into a habit, you get you get comfortable with asking for specific help without feeling guilty. There we go. Look at you, Sarah Stacy.
Sarah.
Yeah. Sarah Power.
Most of the time people are very happy to ask to help, but they don't know if you don't ask them. Yeah. Like
Mm-hmm.
I remember my mom like washed all of my clothes before I came home with my second baby. Don't tell her. She shrank every single piece of clothing that I have. And I was like, I'm probably not going to get into it anyway. Thanks. I was really grateful because I knew second time around, I was like, I actually need help with things instead of, and
Yeah.
like emotionally too. What if you don't have the right kind of help from family? Oh, that was your question that you already answered. All right.
Yeah.
We have one more. Oh, Becky, sharing my birth story is so awesome, but I quickly found out that not everyone wants to hear it.
Yeah.
They're definitely
And
special
that's
ones.
that's important to know your I hate putting that on the birthing person or like the new parent because you want to share and like this is a time where we should be like showering you with help as much as you can get, but at the same time like this is why I say know your on like know who you're having over, set yourself out like stack the deck in your favor, make sure you know who you're inviting into your space in
Mhm.
that early postpartum period because it can have telling that story and not having it be receptive in a way can really like put you in a funk too.
Yeah. And I would say, like, have a time limit for the people who you know are not gonna be either of those for you, either their emotional support or little jobs around your house. Have a plan and communicate with your partner about, like, the first 2 weeks, we can't do that.
Yeah.
But then after this day and people aren't gonna and in the time that we're in right now, it may be the safest for that, or it may be longer.
Mm-hmm.
Where you go outside and you meet at a park, and then it's very time limited, like, you have to pee, you're running out of diapers, like, set yourself up for an escape plan and be like, "We have 15 minutes and we love you and we miss you and we wanna take, like, distant selfies with you, but this is where our comfort zone is," and then
Mm-hmm.
you can totally blame it on, like, this time, the boundaries, and then continue to set up in the future times to see them.
Yes.
But it may not be in your home and it may be very short because
Yeah.
you have things to do, naps to take. Thank you all for participating in this. I look forward to this every single week. I'm like, "What are we gonna talk about?"
I know. I get excited too. I'm glad we had the time and we were able to do this.
Yeah, sorry it was a different time, but it'll be midday, hopefully next week. We will see you there. Um,
Yeah.
if you found something useful, thank you for the likes, and if you have a pregnant person in your life or your emotional support or your postpartum support, share this with a friend, and thanks for subscribing.
Bye.
Bye.